Welcome back to Terry's Studio. Today I'm going to add on to my previous video on how to make a pleated mask. We're going to chain piece several masks at one time, and this time I'm going to show you how to make the pocket for a filter at the top of the mask so you can still have the pleat at the bottom of the mask so it fits your face better. I have our 13.5 by 10 inch rectangles, and you want to iron down about a quarter of an inch on both sides, and then you can start chain piecing. Just want to demonstrate how I chain piece. I like to sew on the top, and we're going to sew right along the edge, and we're going to chain piece these so we can make several masks at one time. I just sew it right along the edge, and I give it a couple of stitches, and then I can insert the next. So what you're going to want to do is go along both edges of your mask and make this 1/4 inch seam on both sides. And I'm just going to continue to piece these until I don't have any of them left. I'm going to cut them apart, and then I'm going to sew down the opposite side. Okay, I'm trying to save you as much time as possible. After you have sewed both sides of the rectangle, then you want to iron down one side about a 1/2 inch or 5/8 of an inch. And to save you time, what you're going to want to do, number one, change the foot on your machine to a zipper foot. Okay, and then I want to move my needle over so I don't break yet another needle. You're going to take your 14 gauge solid wire and set it about in the middle, and you're going to run a seam all the way down, and then we'll come back and we'll sew on both sides of the wire. So let me run this first seam for you right now. You can run right on top of the seam that you sewed earlier. That little thing in there. And see, I don't have to be careful. Hold that wire out of the way. And then you'll just get to the end. You'll pick up another one. You'll pick up another one, and you'll continue the process, chain piecing all the way. I have sewed both sides down, and I have sewn in my wire on all of these. So now all I need to do is bring it to my sewing machine, and I want to make sure that wire's right in the middle, right there. And then I'm just going to make a stitch on each side of the wire on all of these so it's nice and secure down the middle of each side. And I zigzag it up. I go back and forth a couple of times. Cutter doesn't work. I'm going to feel for my wire. I'm going to make sure my needle is clear of that wire, and I'm going to go back and forth, and then I'm going to do this on all of the masks.
Go.
I have sewn in the wire piece on all of the masks, and what you'll need to do now is to turn up the other end and place it just along the edge of the wire casing. And we're going to stitch from this edge to about where you sewed in your wire casing. I'm going to stop stitching and move my foot to this edge, and sew from here to the end. So we'll have a pocket so someone could place a filter in that if they would like to do that. So, and I'm going to chain piece all of this. Here we go. I'm going to get started here. Just stitching over that first stitch that we had. I'm going to stitch back and forth a couple of times here because there'll be some tension on that part right there. And I'm going to come over to the other side. A lot of stress on that part. And now that I've sewn this, I'm going to take my next piece, and I'm going to just keep going until I have all of them done. Just going to keep stitching right over it. When I get to about right there where I've sewn my wire in, just going to move my machine down. And I'll keep doing until I have all 11 of these masks done. Okay, now we have sewn our lining. We've sewn our casing for a wire, and that's all sewn down. I also sewed down just a top stitch along the bottom just to make it nice and crisp. It's time to begin making our pleat. So I'm going to move to the top. Now, it doesn't matter which way you do that, but you want your pleats to go downwards on the front of the mask. So I stitch from the front of the mask to make my pleats. Your pleats, you need 3 pleats that are about 1 inch. And the width of your finger is about 1/2 inch. So if you pinch on your fingers, that makes about a 1/2 inch pleat. I mean, makes a 1 inch pleat. So I'm going to get that pleat started, and I'm just tacking down these pleats because when I sew on my casing, it'll hold it down. Now I have tacked down the first pleat. While my foot is down, I can come and I can grab my next 2 pleats, and it does not have to be perfect. We are just tacking the pleats down. When we're finished, the side should be anywhere between 3 and 3.5 inches. Now, I'm going to show you what this looks like here, but what I want to do is just grab all of them because I'm making 11 here without even cutting my thread. My thread cutter on this machine gave out on me the other day. Now I'm just going to do this for all of my mask down one side. And I'm not going to stop and take the time to cut it. I'm just going to keep grabbing them, and I'm going to keep pleating them till I've gone all the way down this side. Get that first pleat tacked down, then you can grab your other 2 pleats and just stitch them down. So I'm saving time by not cutting this thread each time. Okay, you can go ahead and stop. I've just finished chain piecing one side of every mask, so I'm just going to cut them apart, and then I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Cut. I'm ready to start chain piecing the other side. So I have this side, and that is about 3.5 inches there. Like I said, right now, you don't need to worry about perfection, but I'm going to start on the other side, and I'm going to start my first pleat, and then I'm going to make my other 2 pleats and stitch. Just stitch. If it comes out, just slide it back up. No harm done. Grab your next one, do the same thing, get it started, and then begin making your pleats. I had put the pleats on all of the 11 face masks, and you need a 2-inch strip for the elastic casing or the casing for your ties on each side. I cut my strips, my 2-inch strips, into 4-inch sections. And what you'll need to do on the back side of your mask is place it down, and you'll just turn up the edge right here, and you'll stitch 1/4-inch seam. And as you get to the bottom, you're going to want to turn this up on this side, so you have a casing. And then you're just going to keep grab another one on the back side. So I have my opening here, put this here, kind of get it even on both sides. I'll make a little turn at the top, and I'm going to stitch that all along the edge. Get close to the bottom. I'm going to turn this up even with the edge. We have chain pieced all of the masks, and now I have the casing sewn on both sides, and this is the back. So what I want to do is I want to iron this and make a casing around to the front. So on the back side, I iron down my seam allowance on both sides. It's probably hard to see the black, but now you can see on the wrong side where I sewed it, I have a nice clean edge on the back side, but on the front side of the mask, I see my stitching. So now all I'm going to do is make a little casing. I'll fold over about 1/4 inch, iron it down, and then I'm going to fold that over again just to cover this stitching right there. Now your elastic casing will need to be, if you have wider elastic, you'll need to make that wider. So I am just going to iron this down. I'll do this on both sides of every mask, and then I'll move to my sewing machine, and all I'll need to do is just run a stitch right here, making sure you reinforce by back stitching on each side. Then we can run our elastic through. We have ironed down all the casings and brought them around to the front of our masks, and now all I need to do is sew the casing down. And I'm going to chain piece that too. You may be asking, why am I using white thread? I really wanted you to be able to see the stitching. Normally I would in most cases use black thread, but I don't think anybody minds. I'm just going to keep slipping the next mask under here. Make sure that you take a couple of stitches between so you won't cut your fabric when you cut the threads apart. This is the front of the mask. And I'm just going to keep chain piecing, and I'm going to finish this side, and then I'm going to cut them apart, and I'll do the other side. So I want to put a dart here so it will allow the mask to wrap around the chin and hold it close to your face. So since this is the right side, I'm going to slightly open it, and I'm going to put right sides together right here and fold it over. And now what you want is to have a right angle. We're going to come up 3/4 inch up this way, and we're going to sew it to about 3/4 inch on this side. So I'm just going to make a seam right there. And you might want to adjust this seam for whoever you're making it for. If it's for somebody with a larger face, you won't make this size. You might make a smaller right triangle. If you've got somebody that's got a smaller face, you might have to take up more. So now the right side, I have an area where it'll fit very nicely underneath your chin, and you'll have a good closure over your face. Okay. Now I'm ready to insert the elastic in the casing. This is 1/8 inch paracord, and if you're using this paracord, it's kind of stiff, so cut it 32 to 33 inches long, and I thread it through the casing so it goes around the back of the head. If you're using 1/8 inch elastic, it's a little bit more stretchy, so I cut that 27 inches. So I'm going to insert this paracord into one of our masks, and you just start.
Okay, we delete that.
No, because I'm going to use the first part.
Okay.
For some reason, this wasn't as wide. Some of them weren't as wide as others. There we go. Okay.
I guess I didn't stop it, so.
Okay, that's okay. Are you still filming? That's okay. I'll just edit that out. Okay, I'm going to insert in the other side. And then my husband taught me how to make a square knot. So right over left and bring it around, and then left over right and bring it around, and then grab the 4 ends and pull. And that's how you make a face mask that fits over the face, whatever.